Interesting to see that this Joshua Buatsi Craig Spider Richards fight got made, because in the interviews following Craig Richards' last fight, where he fought this Mattia guy back in, when was this, 2021 in October, he didn't seem that keen, and his team didn't seem that keen on the fight, because they apparently had a good ranking with the WBA, and they were looking to try and get another world title shot. He'd obviously lost to Dmitry Bivol earlier on that year. But things change. They wanted 50-50, apparently, to fight Joshua Buatsi, and they seem to have got it. I saw Eddie Hearn asked. I also saw Craig Spider Richards was asked about it, and they didn't directly say, yes, it's a 50-50 in terms of the purse split, but they seem to suggest that, you know. They seem to infer that. So Craig Spider Richards got the money and the deal that he wanted to get for the Joshua Buatsi fight, so it's on. Now, Craig Richards has done okay in his career. Obviously, the low point was losing to Frank Buglioni. And by the way, that's no disrespect. Frank Buglioni is a great guy. You know, beyond boxing, Frank Buglioni is a great guy. But just being objective, that isn't a good, I mean, no loss is good, right? But when you've lost to a guy like Frank Buglioni, it doesn't look great on the CV, right? He also had a draw with Chad Sugden back in 2019. Lost to Dmitry Bivol, no shame in that, in 2021. So this is a guy really on paper who Joshua Buatsi should be beating. And if you've watched Craig Richards fight, as I have many times, stylistically, there are things there which could be an issue for Joshua Buatsi. Craig Spider Richards, as the name implies, is very spidery and wiry, and he can be difficult to get to. He can be awkward. But one of the problems I've always found with Craig Richards is a lack of fire. He's a very laid-back character, and he fights in a very laid-back fashion for the most part. And that's what everybody was complaining. I think even the commentators, excuse me, were complaining about that in his last fight against Mattia, where he just wouldn't step on the gas. He just wouldn't assert himself in the fight. It was all just too passive from Craig Richards. And right when they were saying that, Craig Richards landed the shot to get the guy out of there. You know, so it worked out in the end. But against somebody like Joshua Buatsi, I just think it's going to be a problem. He's going to need to have more fire. He's going to need to take advantage of his opportunities and not let them pass him by. Joshua Buatsi, of course, comes across as a very respectful, very, I don't want to say, does he come across as laid back? He's just very businesslike outside the ring and in interviews. But in the ring, Joshua Buatsi is a vicious man. This is not a guy who lacks killer instinct in the ring. He's got killer instinct in spades. Okay, so Craig Richards is going to have a ferocious opponent in front of him. And I know some people say that Joshua Buatsi didn't look good in one of his fights where he got his eye swole up. Was that the Kalich fight where his eye was swole up? I think it might have been that fight. And Bolotnik's, you know, had one or two moments against Joshua Buatsi, but Buatsi managed to come through him in the end. Yeah, I think Buatsi should win this fight. As I say, not just on paper, but when I weigh it up stylistically, to me, Buatsi looks like he has the higher ceiling, and he's just a more vicious fighter who takes the bull by the horns, who doesn't let fights get away from him. If he's having any issues, he's going to go for it. As we saw in the fight where he got his eyes swole up, he did not allow it to get away from him. He went in there and he took the guy out. So I'm expecting Joshua Buatsi to come through here. Is an upset completely out of the question? No, it's not completely out of the question, but I see this as maybe 65-35 in Buatsi's favor, or at least 60-40. So I make Buatsi a pretty firm favorite here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. South London derby, Joshua Buatsi from Croydon, and Spider Richards from Crystal Palace, I believe, just up the road from Croydon or up the hill. So yeah, let me know how you think it's going to go. And oh, by the way, before I go here, the fight will be on the 21st of May this year. They haven't yet announced a venue, but that will happen in the coming days. So yeah, let me know what you think of the fight.